Corrymeela's mission is to transform division through human encounter. And currently, over the last year, within Marginalisation Programme, we have been supporting and working in partnership to integrate marginalised communities throughout Northern Ireland. A large proportion of those would be women and children, families who have come to Northern Ireland to seek refuge and to seek asylum. There has been quite painful stories emerging from that group. Stories around the loss and the grief of their homeland, of their belongings. Many have lost family. In addition, they're coming over with, particularly the women, are being forced into a position where they're having to take, I suppose, a role of head of the family now, often without a male. Many of them have experienced abuse, many have experienced violence, and because we would know that research would suggest that women are more predisposed to experiencing sexual abuse and rape because of their conflict.
Well, we're discussing this today on Human Rights Day, when we remember the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I think Article 14 of that declaration includes a right to seek asylum. So what I really wanted to underline today was the continuing importance of the values of the Declaration of Human Rights, of upholding those in practice, but really make clear to people that despite all the hostile, toxic rhetoric around, that refugees and asylum seekers are welcome in this city, in this region, in this society, and people are working very, very hard to make sure that the human rights values in the Good Friday Agreement are realised in practice. And I think the clue to that is there in the title. Human rights are for everyone in this society.
I think it's really important that we adjust our policies in how we respond to climate change and how we effectively mitigate climate change, and to recognise how it impacts women differently. So we need the gender sensitivity in our responses. So there's obviously, in the aftermath of natural disasters, women experience different risks because of the increase in gender-based violence in the very unregulated context of an emergency. There's also issues like the feminisation of poverty that happens as males go abroad to find work to support their families, and you have an increase in women-led households in an area that has been impacted by a natural disaster or a negative climate process. And also as conflict escalates under the influence of climate, there are specific gender challenges that women have to face.
I think that language is the beginning point at which violence enters the world, because when people begin to tolerate saying negative things about people, that begins to open up the possibility of tolerating that we are the arbiters about what's right and wrong. And it can be really insipid. Nobody wakes up in the morning, I think, or few people wake up in the morning and think, great, I'm going to do some violence today. Whereas people wake up in the morning and think, oh yeah, actually my hatred is justified because of what I heard. I think of that line in the Gospels where there's a description of a miracle that happens where many people are fed, and it speaks about 5,000 people, not counting women and children. And that idea, not counting women and children, why not? Why have for millennia we've been involved in situations where the participation of women is considered to be uncountable? We congratulate ourselves on societies that have had access to the vote for women for 100 years, as if that is something to be congratulated rather than lamented.
We have recently obtained funding from Sir Halley Stewart Trust Foundation to explore gender-based violence and domestic violence within the faith community. This project, we are hoping to work in partnership together within Corrymeela and indeed with the wider faith community in terms of devising a faith response document to provide support to the faith community and to churches in how they can maybe feel better informed or have more understanding or tools to be able to work with such a difficult issue. This will be a partnership with the Young Women's Christian Association in Dublin, who are doing really amazing work throughout the south of Ireland and indeed internationally. and they are bringing a real expertise and skill base to the programme. And again, we'll also be hopefully working in partnership with the women's sector here in Northern Ireland also, in terms of guiding and leading and supporting us in the resources.